Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing RA 7877, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. Background and context. This law was enacted on February 14, 1995. The purpose of the law, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act was created to protect people from sexual harassment in workplaces, schools, and training programs. It aims to respect everyone's dignity and human rights. When it comes to employer responsibility, employers must take steps to prevent sexual harassment and deal with it if it happens. They are responsible for creating a safe environment. For example, a company must have a clear policy against sexual harassment and a process for reporting it. Key provisions and principles. Declaration of policy. The law states that all forms of sexual harassment are illegal in work and educational settings. Example, if a boss asked an employee for sexual favors in exchange for a promotion, that is considered sexual harassment. And in definition of sexual harassment, the law defines sexual harassment as unwanted sexual advances or demands related to work or education. And in responsibilities of employers and heads of institutions, employers and school leaders must create rules to prevent harassment and investigate complaints. Independent action for damages. Victims can sue for damages on their own even if there are other investigations happening. Example, if someone is harassed at work, they can file a lawsuit against the harasser for compensation regardless of any company investigation. Penalties for violators. People who break this law can face fines or imprisonment. If someone is found guilty of sexual harassment, they might have to pay a fine or go to jail. Awareness and education. The law encourages programs to educate people about sexual harassment and promote respectful behavior. Example, a company might hold workshops to teach employees about what constitutes sexual harassment and how to prevent it. And in separability and repealing clauses, if any part of the law is found to be unconstitutional, the rest of the law still applies and any conflicting laws are cancelled. Example, if a court finds one section of the law invalid, the other sections will still be in effect.
In purpose and relevance in Philippine society. Protection of human rights. The Act protects people from sexual harassment at work and school. It supports individual dignity and rights. Promotion of gender equality. The Act helps fight discrimination, especially against women. It empowers victims to oppose abuse. Workplace and educational environment improvement. It requires employers and schools to create policies against sexual harassment. This leads to better work and study conditions, encouragement of reporting, and accountability. Victims are encouraged to report harassment without fear. The Act holds offenders accountable to deter bad behavior. Awareness and culture change. The Act raises awareness about sexual harassment. It aims to change the culture towards respect and equality. Legal recourse. Victims can seek legal action for damages. This provides a way to seek justice after harassment. Impacts on different gender sectors. Women. The Act primarily benefits women by providing a legal framework to combat sexual harassment. It empowers them to report incidents and seek justice, thereby promoting their safety and dignity in workplaces and educational settings. Men, it encouragement to foster a culture that condemns harassment, promoting respectful interaction. LGBTQ plus community. The Act protects individuals regardless of gender orientation. It acknowledges that sexual harassment can affect anyone, including members of the LGBTQ plus community. thereby promoting inclusivity and respect for all. Employers and institutions. The Act places responsibilities on employers and educational institutions to create a safe environment. This impacts how they address workplace culture and implement training programs related to harassment prevention. Society at large. The Act promotes a social shift towards recognizing and preventing sexual harassment. It fosters awareness and dialogue about consistent and respect, benefiting all sectors by creating a safer environment for everyone. Victims of harassment. The Act offers victims, regardless of gender, a path to seek justice and compensation for their experiences. This provides a sense of empowerment and can lead to emotional healing and support.
So let's tackle now about the implementation of RA 7877, or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. The head of each agency is responsible for informing officials and employees about the policy on sexual harassment, including the rights and responsibilities. Second, investigating every formal written complaint of sexual harassment and imposing strict disciplinary measures if substantiated, regardless of the offender's position. And for the Civil Service Commission, they are responsible for amending or modifying the rules as necessary concerning the implementation of this act. And third, agencies are required to provide advice, support, and assistance to the employees subjected to sexual harassment and to maintain confidentiality during investigations. So there are also challenges in implementing this law. First is the lack of awareness. Many employees and students may not be fully aware of their rights or the provisions of the law, leading to underreporting of incidents. Second is the fear of retaliations. Victims may hesitate to report harassment due to fear of retaliation from the harassment or lack of confidence in the investigation process. And third, inadequate training, or employers and educational institution may not provide sufficient training for employees or staffs on recognizing and appropriately responding to harassment. Fourth is the lack of reporting mechanisms. Some institutions may not have clear, accessible procedure for reporting harassment and making difficult for victims to come forward. And fifth is the cultural barriers. Societal norms and stigmas may discourage victims from reporting or may make it difficult for organizations to address complaints effectively. So sixth is the inconsistent enforcement, or the enforcement of the law may vary across institutions, leading to discrepancies in how cases of harassment are handled and creating confusion among victims. And lastly is the limited resources. Some employers or educational institutions may lack the resources to implement effective training and response systems, thereby undermining law's effectiveness.
Types of penalties. Imprisonment. If someone is found guilty of sexual harassment, they can go to jail for a period ranging from 1 month to 6 months. This means that the law takes the offense seriously and wants to ensure that offenders face consequences. Fines. In addition to jail time, the offender may also have to pay a fine. The fine can range from 10,000 pesos to 20,000 pesos. This is a monetary penalty that the court decides based on the severity of the offense. Both imprisonment and fines The court has the discretion to impose either imprisonment, fines, or both. This means that depending on the case, a person could end up in jail and also have to pay a fine. The law categorizes offenses into different levels: light, less grave, and grave offenses. Each level has its own set of penalties. Light offenses. This might result in lighter penalties, such as reprimands or small fines. Less grave offenses. This could lead to more serious consequences, like larger fines or short suspensions. Grave offenses. These are the most serious and can lead to significant jail time and high fines. Time limit for filing cases. There is a prescriptive period of 3 years. This means that if someone wants to file a case for sexual harassment, they must do so within 3 years of the incident. After 3 years, they can no longer take legal action. Legal clauses. Separability clause. If any part of the law is found to be unconstitutional, not allowed by the Constitution, the rest of the law still stands. This ensures that the law remains effective even if one part is challenged. Repealing clause. Any other laws that conflict with this act are repealed or changed. This means that the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act takes precedence over other laws that might not align with its provisions. Effectivity clause. The law takes effect 15 days after it is published in at least 2 national newspapers. This means that once the public is informed, the law is officially in place, and people are expected to follow it. The penalties aim to deter sexual harassment by imposing serious consequences, ensuring a safe environment for everyone. Escondor was a government official who was accused of making unwanted sexual advances towards a subordinate employee. The woman, Mrs. Gamelo, said that Escondor exercised his authority over her and made her feel uncomfortable, humiliated, and scared through his actions and messages. Under the anti-sexual harassment law, says that if someone in power sexually harasses another person at work, they can be punished. The court found that Escondor was guilty because he had authority over Gamala and the way he acted was inappropriate and abusive. The court explained that sexual harassment doesn't just mean physical touches. It also includes making sexual requests or advances that make someone feel threatened or uncomfortable. The law recognizes that people in positions of authority need to be careful because their influence can pressure others into unwanted acts. The ruling confirmed that Escondor's behavior was enough to prove he committed sexual harassment. It emphasized that abuse of power to demand sexual favors is against the law. The court held Escondor accountable and sentenced him because he clearly crossed the line into unlawful conduct. In conclusion, the law is really important because it helps create a safe and respectful place for everyone, whether at school or work. It makes sure that if someone behaves badly and harasses someone else, they will be held accountable and face the right punishment. The law also encourages us to be aware and educated about respecting each other's rights and dignity. Its goal is to promote a culture of respect where everyone feels safe and treated fairly, and to stop harassment from happening in the first place.